You got one?
Yeah.
Let's go. Start it off.
So, being a few months into the offseason, obviously you've gotten a chance to watch some film. Have you analyzed the drop-off that happened during the season?
Yeah, that's what this early parts are for. These early, you get a little bit of time to get away. You hire new coaches, you get a little time to get away, and then you start to analyze your season and watch draft prospects, watch free agencies, and so that's what we're in the process of right now. What happened, what we did well, what we didn't do well, right? And obviously there was a drop off and of how we played down the stretch and how we coached down the stretch. And again, those are still in the early stages of us kind of identifying those things. Don't want to give you a premature answer, but yeah, that's what we're in the process of doing right now. And we're committed obviously to getting it better and to taking a good step forward next year.
Nick, do you think Jalen needs to be more of a vocal leader next season, and how do you think he did last year?
Everybody, there's not a book that is written on this is how you lead, right? People lead in different ways. And one thing I learned early about in leadership is that you have to be yourself. And because if you lead and you're trying to be somebody you're not, when you lead, then that gets seen through. I mean, that's just the same scenario I was put in, when I became the head coach or an offensive coordinator or whatever it was. And everybody has to lead their way. And Jalen has special qualities that people will follow and people will want to follow. And he's got to do what he needs to do to lead in that way. And so some people's leadership style is loud and aggressive. Some people's leadership style is by example, and some is a mixture of both. And so Jalen needs to lead how he needs to lead, right? And AJ needs to lead how he needs to lead. And whoever it is, Slay's got to lead how he needs to lead. And because that's leadership, right? Is being who you are and leading an example. At the end of the day, if you're leading by example, that's a great style of leadership. So Jalen needs to lead how he needs to lead, and I think he's done a great job of doing so. And he'll get, just like he has done in other things, he'll get better at that part of his game, and he'll get better at, just because I know that he'll continue to work on getting better at no matter what part of the game he needs to work at.
How much do you think you can really communicate with players, and is that understanding the other reports out there? So, how are you planning on changing the way you communicate with players?
You go through, like, any time you go through a season, whether it's successful in your eyes or whether it's not successful in your eyes, you look on ways, opportunities to get better. And my job is to talk to every single player, and I've done that. Talk to every single coach. What went right? What went wrong? What's your and you take that into account. You take everything into account, and you try to get better at doing those things. I think connection is our number one core value, and there were things that we as a team, myself, didn't do a good enough job of last year, right? Maybe we leaned a little bit more into one category of our core values: connect, compete, accountability, football IQ, and fundamentals. Maybe at times I felt like I leaned maybe a little bit into one and not enough into the other. And so those are all things that you evaluate at the end of the year. And I look forward to, getting better and like I said to you guys before, like, we're not that far removed from having one of the best cultures, that any of us had ever been around, and that's, our players would say that, our coaches would say that, and it's just some tweaks that we need to do. But make no mistake about it, the things that, like, you can change how you communicate your culture. You can change little ways that way you do it with it. But at the forefront, we're never going to change what the culture is: connect, compete, accountability, football IQ, and fundamentals. And we have the right coaches in here to do it, and we have the right players in here to do it, because we have good people in this building.
What parts of Kellen Moore's scheme will accomplish?
Yeah, good question. So obviously Kellen, I hired Kellen because I felt like he was the best guy for the job, and Kellen's been successful in every place that he's been. I know it's relatively a young career, but he's been successful as a player. He's been successful as a coach. And so I like the way he thinks about football and the way he takes everything in and is able to make decisions off of that. So it's been fun getting to know him. I've always had respect from him from afar. And it's been fun getting to know him and work through these things together, to build our offense for next season. And so he's been highly successful, and we've been highly successful. And I think that, I'm really looking forward to meshing the things, meshing what he's done really well together with the things that we've done really well. I think it's going to be a really good match. And Kellen's track record speaks for itself.
How could he make Jalen better as a quarterback?
Yeah, Jalen's obviously had high moments of success. Last year in 2022, a runner-up for, obviously up there for the MVP award, and through the first 11 games, the same thing here. And then we had a fall off as a team, and it's not just Jalen, it's not just me, it's our team that we had a fall off as a team those last 6 weeks, and that we all need to get better from. But Jalen's played some really outstanding football. Here's what I know about Jalen: whatever he deems we see that he needs to work on, or he sees that he needs to work on, he's gonna get better at that, because he puts everything he has into it, and that's a form of leadership too. Like, Jalen sees something that he feels is a weakness of his, or we feel like is a weakness of his, he's gonna dive everything that he has and pour everything that he has into it to get better from that. That's leadership. That's a form of leadership. And so I know that, obviously I'll keep some of the things that we've all talked about, what I need to get better at, what he needs to get better at, to ourselves. But I know that he'll put everything that he has into getting better as a football player, being better as a quarterback, so we can win more games as a team.
From Atlanta, what's the core DNA of your football players? What does Kirby do so well to get these guys ranked?
Toughness, right? Toughness. Obviously, the guys that we've drafted and have on our team from Georgia are highly talented, right? We have 2 first-round guys in Jordan, and then Jalen, another first-round guy in Nolan. We got a third-round guy in Nakobe, a fourth-round guy in Keeley. So they're tough, they're physical, they know how to win. And on top of that, they're really good football players. And so we look forward to continuing to develop those guys. And so, you look at it from afar and say, hey, these guys know how to work, these guys know how to practice. I think that's and these guys are tough. I think that's anytime you can say that about another coach, hopefully you understand that's a high praise that I have for Coach Smart and what he's done at that program, and obviously grateful for that, because we have some of those really good players on our team.
Not being afraid to play young players. What's been your philosophy on that your first 3 years in the league, and how do you see that evolving?
My philosophy has always been play the guys that are going to help you win the game every week, regardless of whether you talk about scheme, whether you talk about players. You're trying to do whatever you can do to win the game, because that's the bottom line, is to win football games. And so whoever gives us that best chance to win a football game, that's what we'll do. Young, old, middle, it doesn't matter. We're going to do what we need to do. I owe that to our team, our coaches and our players and our fans, to play the best player that's going to help us win that week. And so we don't care who that is.
Probably frustrating with some of the outside noise. I guess what's been your reaction to it? Can you talk to him about handling that type of stuff?
AJ, like I've been telling you guys for a long time, not only is he, one of the best players I've ever been around, he's also one of the best leaders, and and he's going to do anything he can do to stick up for his teammates. That's why I admire. That's why he wears a C on his chest. And I think that, if you're speculating, well, hey, what does it mean if he's yelling over here? Like, everybody doesn't. There's some people that when you're leading them, you yell at them, and there's some people when you're leading them, you put your arm around them, and there's some people there's somewhere in the middle, and that's leadership. Also, is just figuring out what buttons to press with different guys. Not every person is. You don't treat everybody the exact same, right? The standard is what it is, and you hold everybody to that standard, but you don't treat everybody exactly the same of how you get to that standard, how you correct that standard, or how you praise that standard. Everybody's a little bit different. I think, AJ understands that. Like I said, just a great teammate, great person. In my opinion, best receiver that's been in Philadelphia. And I grew up a Terrell Owens fan, and I grew up Howie says I'm too young to like Mike Quick, but I was a huge Mike Quick fan. And it's pretty cool that I get to do some interviews with him every once in a while. But you look at the stats and you look at what AJ's done in a 2-year span. He's had the 2 most productive years ever as an Eagle wide receiver. And so, man, like when you have one of your best players being also one of your best leaders, that's special.
Where do you land on Hassan Reddick's future with the Eagles, knowing that they're going to go
Obviously, we'll see how that plays out. I don't know how that will play out. Obviously, Hassan's been awesome for us these last 2 years. Big reason why we've been to the playoffs the last 2 years is the contributions of Hassan. He's played really outstanding football. So, we'll see how that plays out, and hopefully he's an Eagle.
So what's the experience that this year than last year? A, was that intentional? And B, why did you turn over defense?
So, it was about getting the right guys for the job. And I'm excited to, have the experience of Vic here. He's obviously been an outstanding coordinator for a long time, a very long time in this league. Shoot, he was telling me the other day when we were driving up here that the combine when he first started was in New Orleans. I can't even fathom how. So he's been in this league for so long, been successful for so long, and I'm really looking forward to that. Because as well as we've done on defense in the past, dating back to Jonathan. Jonathan was a first-year coordinator, as I was a first-year head coach, and Sean was early on in his I think it was his second year as a coordinator, and so I'm really looking forward to that experience that Vic will provide. Vic's a great play caller. He's done it again. Like I said, he's done it for a very, very long time. Very, at a high level, and I'm really excited for that experience we have. As I think it's important. That Vic had, some of his guys that he's worked with before and that know his system and know the things that he requires. And so there's a reason, why there's some change there on the defensive side, because he needed some guys that were familiar with that. Which Sean didn't have last year, and so I thought that was important. As far as, us kind of creating our Philadelphia Eagles offense going into 2024, right? That will be, thoughts that we've done in the past really well. There'll be thoughts that Kellen's done in the past really well. And so, we look forward to building that together. And so, Kellen has we brought in Doug to be the quarterback coach. And then we kept, stayed pat in a lot of different areas as well with Kevin and with Jason, with Stout. Those are really, obviously we know those are really good coaches, have a lot of faith in them. And, it's meshing of 2 systems to grow in both systems so we can put the best product on the field. And so, that's why that's kind of stayed similar is because we're going to be doing a lot of different, we're going to be doing different things, but also going to be doing things that we've been successful at as well. And so, and obviously those guys that I just mentioned on offense have been here through the success and look forward to growing from that. Yeah, I obviously didn't get a chance to watch too many of Shane's games. Obviously, we were busy doing our own thing, but always rooting for Shane. And I'm happy for him that it was a success. He had to go through some ups and downs with some guys getting injured, and he continued to coach really good football from afar. What's that?
Personality-wise, what sticks out about him makes him ready for that opportunity?
Yeah, he's had a lot of good experiences. I think he's all football at all times, and that's what he's interested in. I think there's not a lot of I've obviously feel like I have a good friendship with Shane, and really value that friendship. But I can't tell you that when my wife and his wife and myself and our kids, we all went out to dinner, there was much other conversations going on besides football. And that's Shane. And so I value that relationship. And I'm really happy that he, obviously didn't get a chance to watch a lot of his stuff. But, happy how they, that they had a successful season, and I'm really excited for them, and I'm not surprised that they did because I know Shane's a great football coach. He's a great leader. He's a great person, and I'm happy for his success that he's having.
How do you see the running backs shaping out now that DeAndre is headed to free agency and Kenny's
No, again, I think last year we ended up. I can't. You guys would know better than me. I know we were in the top 10 in rushing, and it's been kind of a staple here for the past 3 years. And we've done it with different pieces, and you always can do it with different pieces. But obviously you get attached to the things that DeAndre had a great year. He did a lot of really great things, and we'll see how that plays out. There's a lot to play out, right? There's free agency, there's the draft, then there's college free agency, then there's more guys that are still left out. I mean, so there's so many things that can play out. You're trying to fill, just like you are in a receiver room, trying to fill different roles, right? You're trying to do the same thing at the running back position, trying to do the same thing at the tight end position, of making sure you have the right guys to fill the roles that you want to do as an offense. And maybe one guy can fill 3 roles, and maybe one guy can fill the other 2. And so you just never know how that plays out, and what players you have in place. But we, obviously value the contributions that DeAndre made. He's a great football player. We'll see how that goes with where we are. But there's so many things to play out. I know we know what we're looking for as far as that position and the roles that we want to fill with that position. And so, and having Kenny, he fills some of those roles, and we're excited to have him, and look forward to see what the future has with the other guys.
What's one thing you learned last year from the end of the season? Do you think next year can help you in similar situations as a game of team? What's one takeaway you felt?
We went through early here in 2021. We went through a really tough stretch, right? And we doubled down on the things we knew to be true, our culture, our core values, and I wouldn't say, and then we went through a tough stretch here too. And even though we said to ourselves, hey, we're doubling down on this, it didn't. In 2021, it worked, and in 2023, it didn't work. I think it's just, again, being in this constant growth mindset of things that, just always trying to get better at every style of football that you're trying to do. And then I do think though, with those core values, you always double down on those, because to me, it wasn't a core values. We didn't just make them up and say, hey, connect, compete, accountability, football IQ, and fundamentals are what's important. Right, that was years and years of coaching and playing that we thought to ourselves, and I thought to myself, these are the common denominators of good football teams, and that's not changing off of a bad spurt, right? And so it is a true double down on those from day one. Doubling down on the connection, doubling down on the accountability. I really look at it, those two, the connect and the accountability. Even though I say connect, compete, well, those two C's kind of go together, so it's like they say together. But connect and accountability are the two, I would say, cornerstones of our program. Those are the ones that when I really take away, hey, these are important, that we play with good football IQ, that we play with good fundamentals, and that we compete our ass off. Those are important, but it all starts, everything starts with the accountability and the connecting. And so it's almost a double down, a triple down on those core values, and I look forward to when the players get back to do that. And as you see, that we've been kind of doing it as coaches with our cheesesteak tour. What do you got, Jeff?
We gotta go. Bro.
Okay.